You need to have non-negotiables. And so what that looks like is saying no. Nah, man, I can't hang out. I gotta study. I gotta practice. I should be writing. I should be lifting weights in the gym. Woo! Welcome one, welcome all to your space for everything empowerment. I am your host, Tariq Williams, and not only I am Vision of Hope, but we are Vision of Hope. I am your problem solving coach. This is your space for everything empowerment. You are the listener. We're going to make it happen. Let's get it. So, this episode, we're going to get right into, but in this episode, we're going to talk about the fact that you need to have non-negotiables and discuss why you need non-negotiables. We're going to have a few different reasons and why you need to have non-negotiables. Go through those and then answer the question. Am I into manifestation? A lot of people are talking about manifestation. It's come up when I've had some guests, but it's interesting. A lot of mindset coaches and problem solving people and such. Well, I consider myself a problem solving coach. I haven't really seen anybody claim problem solving coach, but I've seen a lot of people talk about in the mindset space what it looks like to be a manifester, a manifestation, and all those good things. I don't really talk a lot about manifestation, so I'm going to talk a little bit about it today. So that's what's on the agenda. That's what's on the syllabus today for today's episode. Let's make it happen. So, as it pertains to non-negotiables, if you want to do anything, if you want to do anything in your life, if you want to achieve something, okay? If you're not okay with the status quo, you need to have non-negotiables. What are non-negotiables? So, for example, okay, so if I decide, right, if I decide that I'm going to put out a podcast every Sunday, I'm not arguing with myself. I signed the contract already. I signed the contract. I signed the dotted line. It's a non-negotiable. Okay. So therefore, it's a non-negotiable. All right. We're not talking about it anymore. Have there been moments where I'm like, I'm a little bit tired? Yeah. I've gotten questions from people like, wow, Tariq, you put a lot of work into this, and you're consistent. You're doing the thing. Sure. I'm not doing it alone. Shout out to the editor, Jess Whipples. Fantastic. Besides the point, nevertheless, it was a non-negotiable, right? I already signed the contract way back when. So why would I switch it up? Okay. So you need to have non-negotiables as your goals. And let me explain a bit more. If you want to be successful in whatever it is you want to do, you need to have non-negotiables. That's number one. If success is on the agenda for you, you need to have a non-negotiable. You need to have non-negotiables. Let me explain. So, quick story. When I became blind, okay, I had a lot of unknown in my life. I had a lot of unknown. I wasn't exactly sure what next was going to look like. We've talked about this. You understand this song and dance, cha cha cha. All right, you understand what we're talking about here. So I didn't know. I did not know, but I knew one thing, and one thing only. And granted, this didn't happen overnight. There was a span of time where I wasn't sure about anything. But eventually, I got to the place where I was like, oh, I'm gonna do this. I don't know what success looks like for me, but I thought about it and I was like, there has been too many people who's been there for me, too many sacrifices from parents, friends, family, etc., for me to not be the best version of me. So therefore, I decided that my success was a non-negotiable. What it was going to look like, I wasn't sure. If you would have told me that it would have looked like an undergraduate degree, a master's degree, different certifications in teaching, a podcast, own website, all those things. If you would have told me that's what it would have looked like when I was 16, I would have told you happy April Fools. But but that is what it ended up being. So when it comes to non-negotiables, that was a non-negotiable for me. I just ultimately for any success or anything like that, you need to have some type of non-negotiables. And that story speaks specifically to the word success. But if you want to succeed in anything, you need to have non negotiables. If you tell yourself you're going to do something, we've signed the contract, we've signed it. So, even going back to that blindness story a little bit, I signed the contract that I was going to be successful. So, I didn't exactly know what successful was, but I knew what it wasn't. I knew that being successful wasn't staying in my room all day, not doing anything. It was getting out there. It was communicating with people. It was learning more about me. I knew that it wasn't not being myself because there was a span of time where I thought that my personality and my humor and all those things were taken from me because my blindness had happened, right? So because I no longer could see, you know, that had to dictate my personality. I thought that. That's what I thought. So I realized once I signed the contract of success, I think along the journey, now I'm kind of talking through this as I'm talking to you all. I'm inviting you all into the story because I didn't exactly know that I was going to go this route. But, one of my favorite things about having a podcast is that I have the ability to be honest with you all and, have some structure, but then ultimately be myself as I'm explaining a particular topic. I'm not on here just talking about whatever, right? I'm talking about things that mean something to me and hopefully to you as you can take it and think about what it means for you. So, as it pertains to that, I knew what success wasn't. I didn't know what success was, but I knew what success wasn't. So I had to put myself out there, learn more about me and ultimately still be me. And I recognized that my eyesight didn't control the person that I was. The second thing about non-negotiables, boundaries. We've talked about boundaries before, right? You need to understand when you got to say no. You need to understand when you got to say no. Okay? Let me explain. And so we've talked a little bit about this in the past, but understand this. If you sign the contract, to do X, you got to understand that sometimes you can't do B, C, and D. I'm sorry, I can't hang out this weekend because I got to record. I got to get my act together. I got to contact some people for guests on the podcast, right? I signed the contract already. So why would I be arguing with myself? Self, you said you were going to do this, but you're not going to do it today. Oh, okay. How does that sound? How wild does that sound? Yeah, you signed the contract in late July that you weren't going to do this anymore. So, or that you were going to do this thing. Yeah, no, I'm not going to do it. What are we talking about here? I think people miss that about New Year's resolutions, right? Because, or whatever goal setting that they're doing, you got to have non negotiables. You need to have non negotiables. And so, what that looks like in this boundary perspective is saying no. Nah, man, I can't hang out. Nah, it's unfortunate, but I gotta study. No, I took this class because of A, I wanted to be successful. So I was working towards that. So then the B part here with the boundaries, okay. Oh nah, I gotta practice. I should be writing. I should be practicing my writing. I should be lifting weights in the gym. I should be running. I should be walking in the morning or the evening. So no, I can't stay up until 5 a.m. in the morning because I told myself that I was gonna be awake by 7 to do a little bit of a walk and do my thing, right? So understand this. Boundaries are okay, boundaries are cool. Stay in school. Or the third thing I want to talk about to you with non-negotiables is that you create why did we create this non-negotiable in the first place? Because you wanted a goal or dream. All right. You wanted a goal, you wanted a dream. So you set an expectation and you created your non negotiables because A and B, we talked about the wanting the success and we talked about the boundaries that go along with that. All right. Now, in terms of this non negotiable, you had a goal, you had a dream, but the why, okay? The why you created it. We're not going to go into the why and foundation of the why. We've talked about we talked a little bit about that before, but we might discuss that in some more entirety another time. However, comma, happiness. Happiness, happiness, happiness. I'm not saying your goal, your dream dictates your happiness, but you created it for a reason because it was something that you wanted. You put the non-negotiables in place because this happiness was something that goal or what have you, something that you wanted to ultimately achieve some level of happiness. And so often we find that people aren't actually committed to their happiness. So understand this, your happiness actually needs to be a non-negotiable. Your happiness is a non-negotiable. Now we're getting into mental health a little bit, right? But understand this, happiness is not just a happiness is not just a feeling, it's a commitment. Because there are going to be individuals, there are going to be experiences, there are going to be things that happen that try to attack your happiness. So I'm telling you today, you know someone, and it could be you, that hasn't committed to their happiness. They haven't made their happiness a non negotiable. And the question is why? I'll wait. Just kidding. But think about it. Think about it. Okay. Why, when you think of non negotiables, why isn't your happiness on that list? 5 years ago, you would be disappointed that you didn't make now you a priority and your happiness a priority. So, what are we talking about here? Because I brought up the word priority, before I get into manifestation piece, and if I believe in manifestation, I will have this moment to discuss with you all a little bit more about the Empower Your Life to Prioritize You workbook. So you understand this. The problem with not making non-negotiables is the fact that you're not making yourself a priority. You are a priority. Other obstacles, the journey or what have you, is going to tell you that you're not a priority, that you got to do X, Y, and Z and A, B, and C, and D. And the world will try to tell you that you don't matter. But you have to make yourself a priority. My grandmother always says, self first, right? You got to take care of yourself. You know what I'm saying? Because if you don't take care of you, then what are we talking about here? How could you possibly be there for anybody else if you don't take care of you, if you don't make you a priority? If you think about that goal or dream and then you sacrificed it because you had to do something for Bill, Jim, Ashley, Jared, I don't know. You know what I mean? Like, you got to really think about this here. You have to prioritize you. So I encourage you all to check out the Prioritize You workbook, Empower Your Life to Prioritize You workbook. And that workbook, it's 10 chapters, really going through the ins and outs of what it means to prioritize you as an individual. And I go through all the different reasons why individuals don't prioritize themselves, but it's a workbook, right? So you're working through it on your own, or maybe with a friend, who knows, you guys work on it together and discuss maybe what it looks like to prioritize yourselves, right? Maybe buy it with a friend and go through it with a friend and see what that looks like for you. Buy it for a friend, make it a gift. Hey, friend, you're not prioritizing yourself. So I challenge you to do the work and get the Prioritize You workbook. All right. So I really encourage you to think about this, and I'll drop the link here in the description. The link's on it's on my website, all those different things. We are visionofhope.com, as well as actually new website look at layout recently. Check out the new website; it's fire. Anyways, but the prioritize you workbook really discusses a lot of the ins and outs of what it means to prioritize you, because you matter. You are a priority. You have a goal. You have a dream. And understand this: the world's going to tell you, oh, that's dedicated to the 1%. Well, why the heck not? Can you be, why can't you be that 1% of person to get it? Because it's your dream, it's your vision, it's not somebody else's. So, what are we talking about here? Vision. So, prioritize you workbook. If y'all have any questions, leave it in the comments, description, reach out. Would love to answer any questions, because ultimately you have to start prioritizing you. And so when it comes to prioritizing you, we come across the question: manifestation. Do I believe in manifestation? I've talked about manifestation in a couple other podcast episodes with other people. Um, and it's an interesting topic to me, because I think there are some people out there that aren't into manifestation. And for the longest while, I felt weird about manifestation. And I think that's because of how sometimes people talk about it. We talk about different affirmations and saying them out loud, and we talk about manifesting different things in your life, and then you go for them or what have you, right? And so I think a lot of times people just talk about the manifestations, but and so for a while, I was like, yo, I'm not the manifestation person. And as soon as you just heard what I just said, you probably know where I'm at on this now. But for the longest time, I never considered myself a manifestation individual. I did not. I thought it felt very, very abstract. I can be an abstract thinker, but I thought that the idea of manifesting things and being a manifester and manifestation, it felt very abstract to me for a while. And then I started thinking that couldn't be farther from the truth. Because what manifestation really is a commitment. It's a commitment. Like, we talk about manifestation in a lot of different ways, but yeah, I don't know if I've ever heard anybody talk about manifestation being a commitment. So, of course, I believe in manifestation, because I was committed to being successful when it came to my blindness. I was committed to showing up every Sunday on here on my podcast, right? Like, showing up and what that's going to create for me and what it creates for my listeners and what all those different things look like. It looks like success for me. It looks like clearing up my mental health for myself. And if my mental health is in a better place, I can show up in a better way. Like, I can show up at another level, right? I can't explain to you the joy that I get from hanging out with you all and on the podcast. And thank you all for the listeners. You have no idea how much it means to me. I hope that it means a lot to you all, because ultimately, my ultimate goal is to be able to empower other individuals, be able to, because once upon a time, when people ask me, Tariq, what's your passion? It's empowerment. It's empowerment for myself and for others. Now, once again, people talk about manifestation as like it's like this thing, and I think people who manifest understand this. I think people who don't manifest, quote unquote, if they don't manifest, they don't understand this. But let's call manifestation for what it really is. It's a commitment. It's a commitment to the goal. It's a commitment to moving forward. If it's, if it's manifesting the love of your life, well, let's call that what it is then. Because people talk about manifesting love and all those different things, right? Manifesting love and manifesting friendships and manifesting, community. And well, Tariq, that sounds very no. Like, let me focus on the love part for a moment. When you're manifesting love, let's call it what it really is. You're committing to not settling. You're committing to not settling. So if you're committing to not settling, who are you committed to? You're committed to yourself. That means you're committed to your happiness, right? So I think a lot of times we miss the boat on a lot of these different things. We miss the boat on manifestation. We miss the boat on what goal setting truly means. We miss the boat on what next looks like. When truly, all it has to be, as we learn from consistency and greatness and my blindness stories and other people's stories as well, what it truly is setting non-negotiables for yourself, being committed to you, prioritizing you, so that whatever that thing is, you're manifesting it, you're doing it every day, you're showing up, and ultimately, it's manifestation, which is what? A commitment. Everyone, thank you all so much for listening to the Speak Your Vision podcast. You know what we're doing here? We're making it happen every single day. All right. We got content on Instagram. We got content on all your social media platforms. We're showing up because empowerment is what we're doing here. But ultimately, we're learning how to show up for ourselves better every single day. Empower your life, get the Prioritize You workbook. Let's talk about it if you have any questions, because you matter, you're a priority, make it happen. But prove it to yourself, because as soon as you start not doing and you don't listen to the contract that you signed earlier, you're proving to yourself that what you said to yourself didn't matter. So prioritize you. Let's make it happen. Not only I am Vision of Hope, but we are Vision of Hope. I'm Tariq Williams. Let's get it. Vision.